The other one is McCabe's cyclomatic complexity. Cyclomatic complexity is essentially the number of paths through the method that you can do. So if you have no conditionals and no loops, the cyclomatic complexity is 1. If you have an if, the cyclomatic complexity is 2, because you might go in that if or you might not go in that if. If you have 2 ifs, one right after the other, the cyclomatic complexity is 4, because you can go in one and not in the other and not in the one, not in either one of them, or in both of them. So, do we want cyclomatic complexity to be high or low? Low. And we can see, when you look at something that has low cyclomatic complexity, like, get out of the point. If you pick something that has low cyclomatic complexity, like this has a cyclomatic complexity of 2. Oh, one of those has an exception. Leap user has a cyclomatic complexity of 3 because you have a conditional in here and you have a catch block. So the higher the low cyclomatic complexity, this one's not bad, 3 is okay. Low cyclomatic complexity is good. When we look at something that has high complexity, on the server side, this is parsing XML, and it has high cyclomatic complexity because it's a pile of nested ifs. If I wanted to lower the cyclomatic, oh, and then there's else, because different types. If I wanted to lower the cyclomatic complexity of this, what could I do?
Using the switch statement, changing.
The switch statement required. I don't think I can use string constants in the switch statement.
I don't know, I actually don't know Java.
I don't think in Java you can. I think they have to be integer constants. But I'd be concerned because it's certainly not going to do the equals ignore case. So I'd have to up the case of everything. I would pull this out into an array and these out into behaviors, and then just have a loop that searches the array for the right behavior. That would get rid of all that. Let's see another one that's yucky. This one is making radio buttons. Oh my, how can we fix this one? Well, what's that doing, first of all? It's picking which button should be selected, and it's in a loop making the buttons, and then choosing if it should be selected. Can you simplify that logic? isn't it always if button value equals I, set it to true? And if you get all, okay, so it's if they're equal or I is 4, so it must be defaulting the last one to true. So I think we could make that much simpler. And as a side effect, it'd be much more readable. So that's a great example of where metrics help you find what's yucky. So we taught you in CS1, red, green, refactor. Real agile engineers, red, green, refactor, and refactor is make sure you haven't gone over any of the metrics and make sure you have full test coverage. And don't go on until you have those along the way. Do you have any questions about ECML? ECML? Oh, no, ECL, thank you. Or metrics. There are a million metrics in here and they're all interesting. I just showed you kind of the highlights. But they have things like lack of cohesion of metric of methods is to what extent does a method do one thing. Efferent coupling and afferent coupling are how much do classes interact with other classes. So it's not just within a class that it's looking across classes. And they do one more. Oh, they've changed this. Metrics view toolbar. Well, I have no idea what that is. It used to be you could get a graph, and I clearly just need to know how to turn it on, that would essentially show you all of your classes and which other classes they interact with, and you could zoom in and zoom out to see which part of the system you wanted to see, which is very cool, but there's some trick to turning it on. Ah, like this. Dude, rockin' cool. Can't find the server. Does anybody see the server? It'll center it on whatever you click. This may be too big for this to be useful. Here's the messages. Stay where you are. Okay, maybe this just becomes really annoying. Anyway, it's a toy. Does anybody have any other questions?